Everybody, welcome to the Crusher Trading Recap Show for October 20th, 2025. Let's jump right in here to Palantir and see what we had set up today. Now, I'm going to play this like I normally do, as if Palantir was the only ticker you are watching today, and see if we do have it set up now. Remember, the first thing I look for here is the moving averages, right? We do have a bullish sentiment into the open, but it is still somewhat ambiguous. A lot of moving averages twisted up in there. Let's look at the 15. I do have a nice bullish sentiment here on Palantir also. The 90 is pretty twisted as far as moving averages go, but the 15 looks pretty bullish. So coming into the 5 here, we do see we kind of have this break to the downside, kind of like a washout long situation for moving to the upside based on that 15-minute bull sentiment. Let's see if we had an entry in here based on how we play the strategy. Now, the first thing I'm looking for is most likely a CIZ. And biggest reason being is how twisted up the moving averages in here. So that's the first thing I should be looking at. Now, I did try this to the downside today. Looking back at it, probably wasn't the best move. I should have probably never taken this trade, to be honest with you. But we do have a fair value gap in here. And let me see if I can get this to show up. It's kind of right in here. There you go. So we did have this fair value gap right in here, and we broke below the 20, and we had a nice break below the pre-market low here. So I tried taking this to the downside. A couple contracts ended up stopping out. Looking back at it, was not the best move. If you look at how our strategy is played, we do have a kind of a bearish sentiment on the 5, somewhat of a bearish sentiment on the 92nd, a bullish one on the 15, so they're kind of all over the place. So technically, I really should have been waiting for a CIZ down here for that move to the upside, which we never did get. We do get a move above, right, the 20 EMA here. We get our green fair value gap. We're not above the 50. I got to wait for that crossover to take place just to confirm the move. There's 2 ways to look at this. The first one is, you can just take the fair value gap because it's above the 20, and you can move to the upside. It's about 50-50, so you better be very confident in the trade if you're going to take this one. Otherwise, we got to wait for the crossover in here. And at the end of the day, it just never really turned out to be a good trade because we were looking at the CIZ. And so by the time we would get into this trade, we're at the CIZ here, so there's really no reason to really try to take this trade, okay? Unless we got to break below the 9 EMA here for a move to the downside, which we end up getting a little bit of one right in here. So, but then again, it was too late in the day by that time. So that's Palantir. Nothing really good on Palantir. But if you had to play this today, and this was your ticker, your best trade would have been just to break above the 20 EMA here with this fair value gap. But, like I said, you had the ORB. You had a pre-market high in here, previous day high. You had a few different hurdles to get over, but still was a good trade if you play that strategy. All right, if you look at just the 5-minute now, a lot of times I'll look at just the 5-minute chart and forget about the 90-second. This one here is a little bit less noisy. We do get a crossover in here. We do have the green fair value gap on the 5. We also have a 15-minute fair value gap, so which it pulls up and then does the retest and takes off again. But once again, I got twisted moving averages. I'm at the CIZ, not the best entry, but if I had to take it, that's where it would have been, is down here in this retest, and I could have gotten about a 1% move on it. Okay? Now, out of all the tickers we watch, I'd say that we've definitely had a better opportunity on other tickers, but that's Palantir. And let's get into these here. So we have Meta. This was the one that I was waiting for all morning. This had a bullish sentiment early in the pre-market today, and then I go over to the 15, also looking at a bullish sentiment, and then looking at the 5-minute, also a very bullish sentiment. I had all the moving averages lined up, and so I'm pretty much just waiting for a break of that pre-market high and a fair value gap to step into this trade. Okay? So I get this to show up here. There we go. There's our fair value gaps. So it took a few minutes. Now, a lot of times when you get those fair value gaps right at the open like this here, they generally want to come back down and test, or sometimes in some cases, like if you go back here and look at Palantir, right at the open, we had this fair value gap immediately at the open, and you can see it didn't go very far before it bounced back up. So I get a little bit nervous on some of these ones when I get that fair value gap right at the open, and did not take this one, but was waiting for a better setup. Really wanted to see something show up on the 5 too. So as we were moving up here, and we had that retest the 50, waiting for the first green fair value gap above here on test, above the ORB. And we had the 20 EMA in here off the daily. So once we got in here, I got in at about, I think it was 946-ish, roughly, kind of in here. I took a starting position in here, mostly because we had a 15-minute fair value gap show up on the 5. So I took a starting position here. Looked like it wanted to push. And then we had the 5-minute fair value gap show up here at 9:45. So I jumped into this here again, right before the crossover on the 20 EMA. Once we were in, I got in full size here for a move to the upside into the CIZ. This didn't go much farther, you can see, but we still had a decent move on it. I thought maybe it would have gone a little bit farther. I had this this level up here at 735.46, which it never did get to. Was it a CIZ trade? No, I wouldn't be really looking at a CIZ trade here at all, just because all the moving averages are in good order. There's no reason for it, and we have a green fair value gap to the upside, so everything is showing bullish. There's no reason to take this at the CIZ at all. Not to mention, you don't really get a pass through the 9 EMA here either. So that's it. That's meta. Let's go on to the next one here. We have Tesla. Tesla was pretty interesting. Look here on the 90-minute. We are showing, see, green, red, blue. We are showing bullish. We're showing bullish on the 15. I did like this one kind of going into the open, but I lost interest on it quick. We ended up having the moving average is a little twisted in here, so I was kind of contemplating more of a CIZ on this one. As you can see, we got the moving averages twisted up, and like I said, if we're on the smaller time frames, like the 90-second, and you have the 50 SMA in front of the 20 EMA as you're moving up, this right here makes for a way better setup on the CIZ, and I did take this CIZ trade once we broke down below the 9 EMA here with a full candle. So I got in right here at about 10.16, 10.17 for the move to the downside on Tesla. Didn't go in really big, just took some of the profits I made at Meta, and was able to pull a few $100 out of this for a $1,000 day today. So not a bad day, not the biggest day, but not bad. So that's Tesla. Do you guys understand how that one works? Let's go to the next one. MSTR. We are showing, once again, a little bit ambiguous here. Moving averages are messed up. They're twisted. So right away, I'm thinking CIZ. And you can see here on MSTR in pre-market on the 15, we have moving averages in line. We have a crossover of the 200 on the 50 here. So it does look bullish. However, I said the moving averages are twisted up. And if you look down here on the 5, you can see that they're also twisted. Okay, nothing is in order. And nothing is in order here. So I am looking CIZ all day long on MSTR. Now, I didn't take this trade. I think somebody in the room did take it, but I did not take this one. The confluence here, right? We have confluence. We have the pre-market high. We have the 20, or is it the 9 EMA here? We have the CIZ, the crush it zone. And sure enough, price gets in here, highly predictable. We get the break below the 20 EMA in here, and we get to move to the downside. Not the biggest move. You'd expect something bigger. Do you get stopped out of the trade? Let me move this over here just a little bit. You really don't get stopped out. No. You'd have to hang on here. So you do get a move to the 0.318, I'm sorry, to the 0.382. And price moves back up. You know, most people aren't going to want to ride the rodeo here and run through this. But you can see eventually, when those moving averages are messed up, it does come back and work for you. We do get a little bit of a lower run. And remember, our goal on the CIZ is always the zero line. So eventually it does end up hitting the zero line, and it even goes lower throughout the day if you were patient enough to wait on that trade. Okay, this would have been roughly, let's see, at the zero line there, this would have been roughly about a, let's see, you would have got in somewhere in here, about a $3.69 move to there. And if we look at the total move, we're looking at roughly about 573. Not too bad for MSTR. Patience, patience, patience. This didn't set up until about 10 o'clock. So I know a lot of you guys are trying to get in like 9:35, and I'm just telling you, just be patient. I know every time I say that, I end up getting into a trade about 9:35, 9:36, but generally speaking, the best trades come in a little bit later. Let me just go back and look at Meta here for a second again, or Tesla. The Tesla trade at the CIZ came in at 10 o'clock. The Meta trade on the break right here, this came in about 9:48. If we go to Palantir, that trade started out here, and you really didn't get anything until about 10:15ish. So nothing at 9:35, you guys, nothing. All right, so let's keep pushing here. MSTR, let's go to Coin. Coin was interesting today too. Moving averages are just, they're all messed up here tonight. They're everywhere. But the most important ones I'm looking for here is the 9/20/50, and they're sort of messed up. You're coming into the morning and it's trying to go bullish. Okay, so I'm definitely looking for a CIZ trade here. We do have a nice bullish sentiment here on the 15, and the 5 is showing bullish. And then we also have, let me fix this up here again, a bullish sentiment on the 90-second also. Okay, so to speak. We do get a CIZ trade, not the best CIZ trade, not the best one. And the reason why I say that is there's a lot of traffic in here, right? There's just a lot of stuff going on here on Coin that it's got to get through, so especially in the 5. So I got this pre-market here, and we got to get through the 9 EMA. You got the 20 EMA there. You got the 9, the 20, the 50. You got VWAP. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff there. It took a lot to break through it in the first place, and for it to come back would have been kind of a difficult move. But you do get a CIZ move. It's just not maybe as big as we would like to see. Almost 1%. I like to get 1% moves. That's 0.92, 0.85. You're only going to get about 65% of that move. But that's Coin. Let's look at the last one. Let's look at NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, once again, I thought was interesting. Had a nice move today. You had to be patient for this one. We had the 50, 29. So it had bullish sentiment. Moving averages, you guys, are a little twisted up here on the 15. And same thing here. We got a little bit of a twist going on here also. It would have been nice maybe if it would have broken to the downside. You could have had a short run possibly. You can see it does try to attempt. And once again, I told you, when you get these fair value gaps right at the open, a lot of times they come right back at you. So be careful. Not to mention, your moving averages are running sideways. They're a little twisted, and this is showing a bullish sentiment. So you're going to expect this to bounce at some point. So taking this to the downside, you're going to have to go very quick. A nice green fair value gap going up into the CIZ. And then we have, but we do have the messed up moving averages. So we do end up getting the pullback off the CIZ, but you wouldn't have gotten into this trade, obviously, until the break below the 9 EMA here. Also, the fair value gap strategy, as it breaks the 20 EMA, which is on top of the ORB with a green fair value gap, right? So you watch this one down here form, right? This one, this hammer candle right here at the ORB when it gets ready to break, you'd be getting in somewhere on this candle right here, somewhere to the upside, and you should have gotten about a 0.86% move. I do like the CIZ better on this one, but that one there really didn't pay very well either. So anyways, you guys, that is what we had set up today for October 20th. Now, I also want to show you let's go look at here at the watch list, okay? We talk about the CIZs, and I usually say that they always show up on at least one ticker every single day. Now, excuse the mess here. I got a lot of these title bars in here. It makes it difficult to see, but do your best here to check this out. My favorite one was MSTR and Tesla today. You had and NVIDIA, right? So you had 3 crush it zone trades today, right? These all hit the CIZ. As you can see here, you're going to go to the 0 line, and they do hit the 0 line. Let's go down to here, and you can see these. Well, I like to get in down here. Here's your 0 line touch there. So there's a winning trade right there. And then we also have Tesla. Okay, getting it in somewhere here. We do get a 0 line touch here. Here's our stop out here. So you get 3 winning trades. Okay, these ones all had messed up moving averages on them. So if you were just playing the crush it zones only and that's it, you would have done pretty well. Palantir, should have probably had a better plan up, but it didn't move as far as I thought it would. But still, even if you would have played it at the CIZ, you would have got something off of this trade here. Something better than nothing. Same thing with Meta. Okay, let's go over to Meta, look at the CIZs, and you'll see here, if you took the CIZ trade, depending on where you would have gotten in, the far side or the near side, this would have been roughly, the full move was roughly $3.79. But let's be realistic here for a second and figure out, when you would have possibly gotten in. Now, you had this this big candle breaking the 100 on the daily here, moving to the far side of the CIZ. So at some point, as it's coming back down, you have your red fair value gap here. So realistically, you could have gotten an entry kind of somewhere in here. And the best you maybe could have done with proper management is getting in and getting about a $2.29, or just say a $2 move on Meta. But once again, you guys, you can see that you do get CIZ trades on every single one of the tickers. Here is coin. I know someone did try this one in the room. Not too bad. There's a bit of a spread on here, so it's a little bit more difficult. Now, when I'm playing the CIZs, you guys, just probability-wise, sometimes I try to get in as close as I can to the CIZ. If I do not have a 15-minute fair value gap, and if I don't have the moving averages in order, then I'm more likely to get in closer to the moving averages, or closer into the CIZ at the touch. Now, if I have a 15-minute fair value gap that shows up, but the moving averages are messed up, I'll probably wait for the 9 EMA break, or vice versa. If we don't have the CIZ, but we do have the moving averages in order, then I'll still wait for that break. Those are all viable trades. So hopefully this helps out. But the CIZs, you guys, they will show up every single day on one of the tickers on our watch list. Now, I used to only play the Mag 7 on these, and I would get a trade almost every single day. It was very rare that I never got a trade on a CIZ. Sometimes they're short runs and sometimes they're big ones, but there's always a run to be had at the CIZs, and you do have to learn how to manage them properly. Just real quick, I'll mention one thing about the CIZs. Like for instance here on Meta, sometimes you'll get in on the near side and it wants to go to the far side, and you'll have to learn how to manage these and add to your trade up here so that you can get a better cost basis. So as it comes down, you can learn how to trim and get your profits on there. All right. Any questions? If you do, let me know. Otherwise, this was a recap video for October 20th, 2025. I'm tired, you guys. Time for bed. So we'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. All right. Take care.